Well, good morning. I'd like to apologize to my viewers. I've been off for quite a while. My life has been quite crazy lately. But this morning, I wanted to talk to everyone about family. And, we love our families. Unfortunately, some people never grow up with a family, and that's a tragedy. But for those of us who have parents and siblings, it can be very difficult as well. And I'm here to tell you that that's the case with me and my siblings at the moment. It's a very interesting story. I won't get into all the details, but it just makes me think of how, really imperfect we are, and how some people think and find it hard to forgive or to get rid of grudges or resentments and those types of things. And, when you've made mistakes in the past, like I have, and you continue on with your life, it's sometimes the best thing that you distance yourself from those situations, because it doesn't do you any good. And it can be hard. It's in fact, it's really hard. It brings tears to my eyes that anyone would have to go through this. And so I'm here to tell you that it's not the end of the world if your family has somehow given up on you, or won't talk to you, or has abandoned you. It's something we can't hold ourselves to. We can't hold ourselves in the past and not forgive ourselves for our past errors, because it's just not healthy for us. And in reality, you have to think about yourself and your family. If you have a significant other or children, then those are your priorities. And your own mental health is the most important. And it's unfortunate, as I've said before, that people in the world don't understand chronic illness. But it's even harder when your family doesn't understand and doesn't want to take the time to talk to you, and those feelings can really hurt. So, I don't have all the answers, obviously, and I'm not going to tell you specifically what to do in your situation if you find yourself in this type of atmosphere. Again, if you're seeing a counselor or doing some therapy, it's well to mention these things to them. And again, while they can't always provide solutions, it's good. You need to talk to somebody. You need to get these things out in the air. If it's not with your siblings or your family, then you have to do that with either professional help or a trusted friend. And I always used to think in the past, I want to solve these problems right now, but as you get older, you find out that these problems can't always be solved. And, you have to deal with it, and you have to sometimes wash your hands of it, so to speak, because you can't change other people and their thoughts, what's going through their minds and the way they think, but you can't allow it to destroy your own life. And I was thinking too, when it comes to addiction and other things that make us sometimes lose our minds, chronic illness for sure, and anxiety. When these things aren't happening, to your siblings or to your family, it's hard for them to understand. And that's not an excuse, and I'm not giving anybody reason, not to forgive you, but it's unfortunately oftentimes a reality. I mean, every family situation is different. The details are are different. But again, if you're suffering and you really are hurting because of chronic illness, addiction, anxiety, panic attacks, all of these things, and you're having trouble getting through your life, I mean, if your family supports you, that's great. That's really good. But if they don't, it's not the end of the world, and you have to find a way to move on. And I've talked about this before, I think, about professional help being an option. Talking to your family doctor, seeing what they have to say about it, and, doing some research. There are a lot of good resources out there. Not all of them come from your doctor. There's some non-profit organizations. There are organizations too that charge money for therapy and so on, and counselors. So of course, depending on your situation, you have to decide for yourself what you can go through. But I think when it comes to family, it's so hard because it breaks your heart, and you oftentimes you wonder why don't these people forgive? Why don't they understand? I mean, okay, I've made mistakes in the past or whatever, but they just don't seem to want to give you the time of day, so to speak. And again, that's very hard, and I can't really tell you how to deal with it other than the fact that sometimes you just have to let it go. Maybe time will heal it. It's possible. I mean, maybe it won't. Maybe it's something that you'll never see them again or never have the same relationship, and that's very hard. And I've had anxiety and panic attacks over those types of things, and but again, I keep going back to the fact that you have to do what is right for you, and if you don't, you can lose your sanity pretty quick, and that's a no-no. That's something that you don't want to do. You have to continue to find a way to get through it. You can pray that your family sometimes comes around or will come around and support you, but if that source that you were close to once isn't there, then it's unfortunately time to move on, because if you keep banging your head against the wall, so to speak, well, that doesn't do you any good, and it doesn't do them any good. And again, you can't read their thoughts and their intentions. You don't understand why they think the way they do. You think, well, why did they think like that? It's mind-boggling at times, how they can be so cruel. How they can lack such understanding. But I mean, there's things that they're going through too, and that doesn't give them the right. That doesn't give them an excuse for their behavior, but it is a reason. So, I hope these few things that I've mentioned have helped. And my experience has certainly been one that has been difficult. And, there's errors on both sides. It's never entirely one person that is in the wrong. It's good to talk to other ones as well and get their perspective. Maybe there's something that you're still doing, or maybe again, they don't understand. You can try to make them understand for sure, and you can tell them your experience, and hopefully it gets through. But again, like I said, if it doesn't, it doesn't, and it's time to move on. I'm sure some of these things I've said this morning are difficult to swallow. I'm not telling you to give up on your family. I'm not suggesting that you don't try, of course, to get along. That's not the purpose of this video at all. It's just a reality check, so to speak, that, you know, if you're having these kinds of issues, well, you know, you say to yourself, well, what can I do? I can't keep banging my head against the wall. I can't keep, you know, well, with the hurt. I feel that, you know, I need to do something. So, again, that's where it's at. It's about your mental health as being the most important. It's about getting better, and it's about forgiving yourself for past mistakes. Those are the most important things. So that's about all I have to say this morning. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Hit the subscribe button if you like my content, and we will talk soon.